How's he doing? I don't want to look.
Orbitz Hotel Price Assurance, where if another Orbitz customer books the same hotel for less, we'll send you a check for the difference automatically.
Long-term investors have a common desire: income. At Annaly Capital Management, that's our business, generating dividend income. We prudently tend to our investors' capital through market ups and downs. Annaly, investing in your best interest.
Sandals Royal Bahamian. Experience the exotic adventure of an offshore island and the elegant sophistication of a world-class resort, all on the vacation of your dreams. Now with 2-for-1 airfare, your partner flies free, plus save up to 65%. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
My husband worked at a power plant where the asbestos fell like snow.
My dad got mesothelioma from asbestos.
Oh, the diagnosis was devastating.
We chose Cooney and Conway because they're highly experienced in this area.
They were more than lawyers. They were human beings.
There was no money up front.
It showed my sons that there is justice in the world.
Call 1-800-360-8000. Cooney and Conway. Justice with a passion.
And I drink chocolate-flavored Ovaltine.
This dress has the popular full skirt. Exotic in style and influence.
If you want to chart the boomer appetite for excess, 6 Frey Road in Hillsborough, New Jersey is a pretty good place to start.
Although the plans are large, we see many people adding additions. The trend is really to add a lot of square footage to the home.
Once upon a time, home sweet home meant 2 beds and a bath. Not anymore.
Over in the master bath, we've done one of our most popular options.
Ozzie and Harriet would barely recognize it. A 3,800 square foot baby boomer's dream. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and a master bedroom so big you could park 2 cars in it.
The biggest change is the size. We've gone in the past 10, 15 years from a more adequate kitchen to as large as we can make it.
This model home is not for lottery winners and CEOs, but for the typical upper middle class boomer family. Here at Hillsborough Chase, Toll Brothers is selling 105 of them.
It's lifestyle more than shelter now?
Absolutely. It's lifestyle more than shelter.
Toll Brothers Executive Vice President Doug Yearley says despite a housing downturn, the size of the American home has continued to grow.
In 1970, the average house was 1,500 square feet. By 2007, more than 2,300 square feet. It had grown by a factor of 50%.
For us, a 4,000 square foot home is about our average in the suburbs. The kitchen is no longer isolated. It's connected to the family room. The kids' bedrooms all have their own bathrooms and their own computer stations. The master suite is an apartment within a home.
It wasn't always this way. After World War II, many of the 16 million American GIs returned home, settling in modest developments like this one in Levittown, New York. The baby boom was underway. Modest homes and a small patch of land brought families a sense of stability and community. Suburban life was the wave of the future, and it could be had for less than $8,000.
The sound of home building is being heard again in this country.
As boomers came of age, they demanded homes that were bigger and bigger, more space, more luxury. Today, they live in houses nearly 3 times as large as the homes of their parents.
But how much of it also goes to that American conceit that unless I have a larger house than my neighbor, I'm not successful?
Boomers like to show their wealth. And what better way to show your wealth than your home?
The boomers have done just that. But in many cases, they did it by spending money they didn't have.
Why do you think your generation felt it had to have housing that was so much larger and more luxurious than what your parents had?
My dad didn't want a mortgage, and he was afraid of losing his job tomorrow. My generation believes they're getting a promotion tomorrow. So it's okay to put a lot of money into the home because we're on a roll and things are only going to get better, and everything will work out.
But it didn't work out. Personal debt has soared in the boomer era. Seduced by easy credit, boomers splurge not just on their homes, but on cars, vacations, and private schools.
What happened to this generation?
The consumption spending of the people at the top was spectacular in a way that attracted wide notice.
Cornell economics professor Robert Frank says huge income gains among the very wealthy led the middle class to act like the big spenders.
I think what you saw was that the people near the top, just below them, they travel in the same circles with the people who were spending so much more, and so they built bigger. And then there's a group just below them, they needed to build bigger too, and it just cascaded all the way down through the income ladder.
Boomers at every level were borrowing way beyond their means.
Worst financial crisis in modern times.
Then it all unraveled. Credit markets tightened, foreclosures skyrocketed.
Come here, Spot.
And even for boomers down the income ladder, such as Russell Martin, the bill came due. Martin would hardly appear to be a big spender, but in some ways, he acted like one, taking on a bigger mortgage than he could afford. Now, like more than 1 million others, he owes more money on his house than it's worth, and he may lose it.
Did I ever think I'd be in this situation? In my nightmares. I've got to take responsibility for, where I'm at with this, and I do, but I can only do so much to make this work.
Martin's income as a contractor and freelance photographer and musician fell in the midst of the faltering economy. But the interest rate and payments on his home continue to rise. Now he can only afford a portion of his monthly mortgage payment, and he is struggling to hold on.
Essentially, the package has matured now. The payments have about tripled. It's just undoable. In this economy, I can't do it. My father lived through the Great Depression. And, he used to warn about buying on credit. And he said, I'm not going to buy it because I can't pay cash for it. It was probably the most brilliant words that, that as far as this economy goes, it's like, hey, if you can't pay cash for it, what are you doing trying to buy it?
Did too many baby boomers become hostage to their homes, spending so much of their income, taking out ever larger mortgages, and in effect, mortgaging their future to their homes?
Well, certainly some did. Buying a home no longer became providing shelter for your family. It became, for many people, a form of investment.
Do you think your children had richer lives because they lived in bigger homes with larger kitchens than you did when you lived in a much more modest home?
Absolutely not. I'm concerned about my kids, that they may be taking it to the next level. It may be that each generation has to outdo the prior one.
You don't think that your kids, because of what we're going through now and the crisis in the housing industry, may go the other way and say we don't need all of this?
I'm afraid memories are very short, and I believe that when the economy turns, what we went through may be a distant memory, particularly for our kids who weren't living it economically all the time.
With an uncertain future, boomers such as Russell Martin are taking stock of what they have learned in this crisis, hoping they can hang on to their homes and to their precious memories.
It sure does feel like home. And when I look at the potential of this property, I just look at it and go, gosh, how could I let this go? How could I at least not make an effort to keep this for my children?
Coming up, he was shaped by the 60s, now he's in his 60s. What's the greatest achievement of your generation, the baby boomers?
I think we fulfilled America's sense of possibility.
Former President Bill Clinton, when Boomers returns.
As small businesses are busy reinventing the economy, small business owners have a lot of questions.
Can paperless billing get me paid faster?
How can I keep my best employees?
How can I bring down my insurance costs?
And while at American Express Open, we may not have all the answers, we know who does. Other owners. That's why we're helping business owners connect. Together, we're building a community for them to talk, share, and help each other. A place called openforum.com, where owners can swap ideas and ask questions.
Will tweeting get me more customers?
How can I make my business green?
And one question seems especially popular.
How can I get paid faster? How can I get paid faster?
I was about to ask you the same thing.
And they're inspiring ideas like AcceptPay, a new tool from Open that lets owners invoice digitally and helps them get paid faster. Ask a question, find an answer. Join the conversation at openforum.com.
Every year, you make a resolution, a goal, some lofty thing you aim for that, well, most people never actually accomplish. Last year, Hyundai aimed high, challenging ourselves to become the most fuel-efficient car maker in America.